I start?
From the beginning.
Well, that's a long time ago now. About 8 years ago, I had a problem regarding a partner and some property, and it ended up in court, and that triggered a threefold exercise for me. I was then investigating mortgages, I was then investigating gas, water and electric utilities, I was investigating council tax, because all these short red flags up to me. I couldn't work it out, because I come from a hard-working mum and dad who tell me that I must work for this, work for that, earn this, earn that. And as a 6-year-old, I said, "Mum, you and Dad work so hard, I don't want to do that. I'd rather play on my bike. Why can't I do that?" And she rattled off house, marriage, holidays, cars, blah. And I don't get it. And I don't get it even more now, because I remember my mum saying to me, "Dad, so do you fancy going for a pint this week? It's only the green bill, not got the red one yet, we can ignore it." It's a bill that I now know she's not liable for. Now, to try and put into perspective what was happening with the property, which was very emotional. It was a 30-year-old family home, a lot of memories there for me. There was no payment in from the other partner, but at the end of the day, when I started studying this, the law says 50-50. If I own 50% of the table, you can sell your half of the table to anybody you like. I've got nothing to do with that. I just have to share that table, and we have to draw boundaries. So I said the same, but the court didn't like that. So I questioned jurisdiction, and this was in the foyer. And I thought, I've read all this, I've not signed anything, I know where I am, I know what's happening here. I said, "Court clerk, can you tell me what jurisdiction we stand under today?" The judge, to claim authority over me and my property without my consent. 4 minutes later, I was surrounded by armed response police. And that's not made up. I wish it was, but it wasn't. I was stood there in front of a judge with 2 armed coppers in front of me, 2 behind me, 1 either side of me, and all of them saying, "I don't even know why we're here." But it's because I question jurisdiction. Jurisdiction, I find, is one of the keys that they flip from all through everything. They do it in the gas courts now for warrants of entry. And this is why my story, when I started it, you'll find that it goes in from this to this to this to this, because it doesn't happen like that. You know, all of a sudden, from, you know, ducking and diving, keeping below the radar, doing just what you need to do to get through, going from that to where somebody's taking something from you or taking the piss, I can't compute that. So the gas company were telling me that I owed them this amount of money, yet they'd reduced the payment plan and blah blah blah. So I'm dealing with this, and I'm dealing with the property side. All of this started to now fall into place with wherever it was. The gas part of it was very comical, but they've always acted very honourably. I've heard so many stories from up and down the country. I was telling somebody earlier that we had a lad arrested by a policeman, his keys took off him, given to the gas man to change the meter, de-arrested and given his keys back. Now, Section 26 of the Criminal Courts and Justice Act shows that that policeman's facing at least 7 years in jail for what he's done. Nobody has ever took that forward. And this is the position they seem to be putting people in now. They're barracking people with utilities into a corner, and if they can't get anywhere, they walk away. Which, when it comes to my case, they said they were going to apply for a warrant. I ignored the first one, and I got a letter through telling me what day they're coming on, blah blah blah. And I'm finishing work at dinner time. I put somebody in the house. I said, "Have they been yet? Just come out on my dinner." He said, "No, they're not here yet." Anyway, he rings me back 2 minutes later, he went, "They're here." I said, "Lock the back door, go out the back way, keep them on the front." Pulls up on the front, somebody shouted it out earlier, but pulls up on the front, behind, 3 police cars, which were 6 coppers, a gas man, a warrants officer, and a locksmith. And as I walks up, policeman's there with his hands in his flak jacket, and he says, "You're going to have to let him in, mate. He's got a warrant." And I said, "Are you here as peacekeeper or bailiff today?" And he said, "Oh, we're just here to keep the peace." I said, "Then your opinion is not warranted." I turned me back on him, and to be fair, the guy never even spoke again until he minded me for 2 hours after, asking me what it was and what I was saying. How can gas be free? I don't know. I've not got the answers. All I can tell you is somebody sends me a cheque, a credit cheque, attached to the bottom of my bill. Can't get access to it. You're my agent. I'm not your customer. Stop bullshitting me with that rubbish. You're my agent. You act on my behalf. I'm transferring it to you. Will you deal with it? It's nothing to do with us. Can I have my cheque back? What cheque? You don't get it. You don't get it back. These companies have been creaming this for too long. And dickheads like me come along and go, "What's this? I don't understand this. Why are you paying? If I owe Mark £100, am I going to give Mark a cheque for £100 and say, 'You owe me £100'? Is he going to give me my cheque back? Yes. Is he going to do anything else? Then what's these utility companies doing? They're saying, 'You owe us this, here's your cheque. Here you are.' What do you mean? You've just said, 'Here's your cheque, here you are.' This is basic bills of exchange. Nobody's going to issue me with a cheque if I'm liable. And when I looked into the sections, I got to section 123 of the Consumer Credit Act, 1974. I'll never forget it because my mate who put me onto it, I rang him up. I've read section 123, which is negotiable instruments. And I read 1, 2, 3, 4, and I rang my mate up and I went, "I think you're wrong about this." He went, "What?" I said, "I think you're wrong about this. It says they don't have to accept it. They don't have to accept this negotiable instrument." He went, "Where have you read up to?" I went, "Number 4. He went, "Read number 5. And number 5 said, "None of this applies to a non-commercial agreement." So that means domestic, that means private. So all of a sudden, the credit cheque shows me that within this economy, which went bankrupt, which our ancestors took the debts on, they were given shares in this stuff. Can I show you left, right and centre and point to where this legislation is? No. But I just want to know, in a court of law, you sent me a cheque. I owe you this money, or you sent me payment. Can you clarify this? And they ran away. So for 5 years, I'd gone from seeing them off at the door to going to court, putting a bundle in, and he stands in the, he gets in the stand, he says, "Mr. Webster owes blah blah blah, £454, blah blah blah." And I said, "Well, I've settled this account." I get in the stand, "I've settled this account, or attempted to, through the bills of exchange." And the magistrate said, "Bills of exchange?" And before I could say anything, the legal clerk turned around and said, "Yes, ma'am, that's a legal remedy we don't deal with in this jurisdiction." So they're applying for a forced entry. All you needed to do is to say, well, what can they force entry over? Because to stand there and say, "You can't force entry," that's rubbish. Of course they can force entry. If I'm on holiday and somebody breaks in there's a gas leak in my house, I want someone to break in, fix it and secure the property. They've got legal right to break in under certain circumstances. So my mate Adi, he puts into his bundle, he copies and pastes the entire 127-page Gas Act into Word, types in rights of entry. It comes up with about 4 or 5 sections that talk about pipes, fittings, escape of gas. It has the body of words in those sections, rights of entry. You go to pay-as-you-go meters and monetary disputes, you do not have the body of words rights of entry. So therefore they have no right to enter. Because pay-as-you-go meters and monetary disputes are civil matters, and a pay-as-you-go meter is voluntary under a statutory warrant. They've got to ask you your permission to fit it. That's not what's happening. But as I've experienced, I've heard some today that down the further south it is, the harsher they're being. We had a case up in Crewe that me and Kevin attended, where she had deliberated. How long was it for, Kev? About 3/4 an hour. 10-minute warranty in 3/4 an hour. And she came back with, I'm going to grant both warrants to fit pay-as-you-go meters by force if necessary. Picked her books up and just walked out. That was what she'd been told to do, because they're putting people in positions now where, if they can, they're leaving you with the burden of proof. When I went to court, I challenged the man who said that I owed the money. The legal clerk said what he said, and they said, I'm going to have to put this before a district judge. Are you happy with that? I said, of course, yeah. Give him my documents, give him a copy. 56 days later, it appears before a district judge. They fail to attend. So they don't even bother turning up. So the warrant's thrown out. The next time is a computer-generated warrant. I turn up, and the girl who was the gas agent, I said, are you legally trained? She says, no. I said, well, I'm going to put you in the stand and cross-examine you. She says, oh, no, you're not. She took the warrant out, crossed it out. About 6 weeks later, I went to the lady, who we walked down the corridor, and she's going through and stuff. She says, Mr. Webster, I've got nothing here for you today. I said, it's not for me. I said, well, I'm helping my mate here today. He's going to cross-examine you. Oh, no, he's not. That comes out again. And then she turned to me and said, the immortal words, this court will no longer hear any more applications for warrants on your property. So there is no more warrants applicable to a forced entry on my property. My meter's outside. They still need a warrant to get to that meter. But my gas agent at the very first hearing was my star witness, who stood in the stand and said, we checked the supply when we read the meter. There's nothing wrong with it. Boom, we're in the wrong jurisdiction then, sir. Can we now go to equity? They claim that I owe them money. What did they do? They ran off. I've not spoke to them for 2 years and I'm not paid for 5. And people throw insults at me. Oh, you're a sponge, blah, blah, blah. No, people don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
When you're on about domestic property and commercial,
Yep.
when I was dealing with the water, they kept talking about rateable value. Well, as far as I understand,
That's where the council tax comes into that.
a rateable value is only applied to a commercial property. And they will say your house has got a rateable value, and if you don't say, oh no it hasn't, it's not a commercial property, then it hasn't. And that's where they get it.
Well, how I've looked at it with this stuff, I mean, I don't know how many people have seen the High Court order that Ben Gilroy got in the Republic of Ireland, which states, and it is applicable, even though it's a republic, that all circuit and county courts only have jurisdiction over commercial properties.
Yeah.
Now, how that ties in with council tax is, if people, and I would never advise people to take this forward until they actually understand what this argument is, but Section 3 of the Local Government Finance Act tells you what property they are charging council tax for. But in that section, I'll paraphrase, but it is not shown, nor is it required to be shown, that any property is exempt from non-domestic ratings. What is a non-domestic rating? It's commercial. So they say, well, we've not told you, and we don't have to tell you, that you might be exempt, because you might not be non-domestic. You don't tell them that, you just pay it. That's how simple this stuff is. because I found that, and you can always point fingers at people saying, well, they've done it the right way, he's done it the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what way you're doing this. It's as long as somebody's at least saying something. I would never advocate somebody just unplugging from this system and just paying for nothing. I know people who've done that, and I've seen how much their lives have changed. They've lost things that people would hold dear to them, they've just... So, you know, I'm an ordinary guy. I don't want to just go boom like that. I don't know what I'd do. And I had a breakdown. I didn't even know when I was going through the courts. I didn't know I was having a breakdown. I thought I was keeping it all calm and collected. I thought, yeah, I'm easy. I'm getting all this. It's all going to plan. Now I look back, where I bumped into my mate in Asda, and he says, how are you? An hour and a quarter later, he says, I'm going to have to stop you there a bit. And he's finished my shopping. I've got to be home. He said, just remember, I only asked you how you were. But I rattled off, gas, water, electric are free, and banks don't lend you any money, blah, 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 blah. Was I having a breakdown? Damn right I was. Because this stuff, it changes people. It changes your life. When you start switching on to what can only be considered as the truth. I mean, only yesterday I got asked, yeah, but Webber, you think Madeleine McCann was a lizard? I went, oh my God, where the f*** are you getting this stuff from? And it's absolute ignorance. Absolute ignorance. They don't see the world how I see it, but that lost me friends. That I was best man at a wedding. That guy doesn't speak to me anymore. He doesn't speak to me because I have difference of opinion. Yeah, it didn't stop him at the time. When he was going through a divorce, they'd agreed on everything, but he had to pay for solicitors. I went, basic contract off the internet, filled it in. Is this what you agreed to? Yeah. Boom. 3 copies of that, get signed and witnessed. I think that'll be right. Didn't cost him a penny. Yeah, he doesn't speak to me because I might think 9/11 might have been slightly suspect. So, but this was, like I said, I was best man at his wedding. We went through thick and thin when we were growing up, and he doesn't speak to me. And people who I never ever thought I'd ever bother speaking to are your closer friends. But your close friends don't even question. They don't even question what you've gone through, what you're talking about. I've got people who'll say to me, "You know what you're saying, but don't tell me." And these are very intelligent people. You know, and I did get put in my place one time where somebody said to me, "Paul, that can't be true because I worked too hard for my life to be a lie." And I saw it in her eyes. What am I meant to do? Start going, "Oh, well, you're an idiot," blah, 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 like other people did. No. People are on each other's, their own journeys. Their own journeys. I would never have took any of this stuff on. But when you start looking, like I said, it was a melting pot of stuff that was coming at me through about 5 or 6 year period, wasn't it? And it was getting to the point where I didn't know what to look at. I didn't know what document I was sending somewhere. I mean, my filing system was documents on the printer, on the TV cabinet, on the fireplace, on the top of the couch, on the bottom of the couch, on cushions, certain cushions, and the coffee table.
Under the cat.
Under the cat as well, out like that. There's plenty of solicitors got my cat's document. But, you know, it all meshes into one. And at the end of the day, it's about whatever this system is. I would never advocate somebody unplug straight from the system because it's a scary thing, especially what we've been taught. You must work hard, you must earn this, you must work hard, you must earn... You know, and that is if you were lucky. I deal with people all the time who can't ask me for a toilet roll without saying... You know, it's about mentality, it's about what people have experienced through life. Going back to the courts, I went right through for about 3 or 4 years, got them to a point where I put case law in, which a friend of mine, Anthony Carlin, provided, when he took Santander to High Court in Northern Ireland. And basically, there's a lot of bits to it, but basically the case law states, yes, you are Santander, you're a very big bank, very impressive, you've got lovely adverts, but you still need to prove this man owes you money. It's law. You cannot claim I owe you money and not show any proof. But my judge picked his case law up, turned it on and said, I can't see that. She can't see it because if she sees it, she's got to apply it. But why couldn't she see it? Couldn't work it out. But it was the wrong jurisdiction. They flipped the jurisdiction on me to which was a common law jurisdiction. And it's on the one premise. When you sign your agreement for your mortgage, do you agree to pay so much a month? And if you don't, can they take your house? Are you gifting them your property? That's the basis of the agreement. And they're putting that straight into common law. And then as soon as you say, yes I did, but you've gone straight into equity. So you come out of common law, you've gone straight into equity, and they're sat over here and what? Nah, can't hear. What? Nothing. That's how childish these people have got. They're not clever. They're not clever. I've stood there shaking like a shitting dog before a district judge and saying to a barrister, a QC, saying, I've got a letter saying that you've got the original terms and conditions and you're bringing them. I've asked for you to bring them today. And she said, no, I haven't brought them. I said, why not? She said, all original documents have been destroyed at Land Registry. I went, are you telling me that any document pertaining to any alleged debt I ever owed has been destroyed? She went, oh. No, I'm sure we've got it, I'm sure we've got it. I said, well, I need to see it. And this was the same time with the case law, that was the same hearing. They couldn't let me win, they couldn't let me get anywhere. People will say, as in, you know, something like the Tom Crawford case, who's fought and fought and fought. He lost, that's all I ever hear. But I lost. Does that mean I was wrong? Does that mean I didn't have the right argument? No. They were just ignoring it, because legally they can. They're under the wrong jurisdiction. Why am I surrounded by armed police when I ask what jurisdiction? Why over 5 hearings have I got over 30 coppers present? Video evidence gatherers, armed response, and the other lackeys. Why am I surrounded by these? I know armed blaggers that don't go to court with that kind of police presence. There's something not right with what's going on. And everybody's got to do something, even if it's going to the pub and being told, there he is, that dickhead again, you're going to start talking about Bin Laden and all that. You know, even if it's that, I did, especially when I went through the breakdown, it was about, best part of 3 months I was off. I went back into work, my line manager approached me on the day I walked in, I felt great. I thought, I'm really feeling a lot better about myself, I feel that I've got everything assimilated, I can now start putting a plan forward and I feel good. Comes up to me, alright mate! Yeah? He says, how are you doing? I said, I'm alright mate, thanks. He went to, listen, some lads in here think you're absolutely a fucking nutter. And he turned and walked the other way when you walk up to him. Have a good day. So, I'm going, cheers for that. So all day I'm going, do you think I'm a nutter? Do you think I'm a nutter? Because I was telling people that banks don't lend the money. And people couldn't shift that belief that they've borrowed because they couldn't get around the fact that they wouldn't even look, you know, Coronation Street's on, whatever it is, but they won't even look to see that there might be something wrong with how the economy is set up. You know, there's a lad who asked me only yesterday, I gave an analogy that how the economy seems to work to me is that I go to a shop and I promise to pay for a Mars bar. They accept my promise and they give me the Mars bar. The shop goes to the warehouse and promises to pay for the boxes. They accept the promise, give the boxes. The warehouse then goes to the factory, promises to pay for the boxes. Give them the boxes. Then the Factory turns around and promises to pay the worker. And what does the worker do? He goes to the shop and promises to pay for the Mars bar. That's how this is simplicity. It works. Have I got solutions to this? Oh, Jesus. I've looked at so many things. I mean, a lot has been said now, probably in Winchester, about the Bradbury pound, which is national credit. You know, nations that have gone to national credit and got rid of this central banking system have prospered. That's no coincidence.
I don't fit that.
Second superpower in the world within 6 years. You know, megalomaniac that he was, but it's
Hungary was one of the richest countries going till they brought in the Rothschilds Bank under Trudeau in 73 or 4.
So,
America was before the Federal Reserve came in.
1913. Now, if anybody who's either upset or wanting to talk about Donald Trump, if the first thing that he does is repeal the 1913 Federal Reserve Act, you think he's got some balls, this man. He's ready for really good change. You can talk about the elections all you like. Hillary would have given us war, no matter what. So the alternative is war or I don't know.
Yeah, but Donald Trump's a Catholic, and he was he's a Jesuit trainer.
And on the flip side to that, Trump comes out, Putin comes out and says he's going to fight for an individual Palestinian state. Now he's friends with Trump, but Trump's already come out and said, I'm a true friend of Israel. There's going to be problems in this relationship.
The first person he met was Nahi from Israel.
So what change? What change? The only thing that's happening, the only thing that I ever see is happening is this. A group of people getting together at different kinds of grassroots, coming together with different notions, different ways. I certainly don't say transfer the cheque by endorsement is the way forward, because I know a guy called Ken Dobson, and he's worked with A4V for a long time. He's done the Treasury, he's done HMRC, they both got rid of him because they're sick of him how much he hassles, and they put him onto the local council, and they've indicated that the 151 officer at the local council holds your credit. This is why councils are sitting on millions, and they still claim all this money off from you, and they're using a council tax, which is a business tax.
Yeah.
They're charging you for living in a business.
Yeah, so commerce.
Everything is.
Commerce is right.
Everything is. Unless you've committed a crime, everything is engagement in commerce.
Correct.
If we go to Europe, if we'd have stayed in Europe, that's what we'd have been sucked into. Everything was commerce. There was no common law. Everything was, you were just done. You were going to jail for money. That's debtors' prisons. We're going backwards.
When we were in bankruptcy in September 1931, they brought admiralty courts in, common law was done away with, and that's the courts we're going in. You've got no chance in an admiralty court, because they look at you as being dead.
Exactly. But what people don't... another thing that I found hard to... Not hard, but my mate, some of you might know him as Rob Bollocks, Rob B.
Yeah,
Rob was going on and on and on about this maritime and martial law and everything, and it took me until the last 12 months or so to realise that we are actually under martial law. We have been since the Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah.
They apply for a tax bill every year because it's illegal and it was Napoleonic tax. So they apply for it every year and they still keep passing it. So when I looked at the martial law and what martial law actually means, which is the basics of the military work with every other foundation. So what we're talking about is a pyramid scheme through round tables to a control mechanism. You give the majority what they want, then the majority of rule. You can't pick this information being true, this information being true, because you just don't know. You've just got to look at the information and then go, do you know what, I'll make an opinion on that, but send it out, see what other people think. Yet I pass information on, and straight away, oh, you think this, you're anti-Semitic, and blah, blah, blah. What do you mean? I've just passed some information on. I've not put an opinion on. What is it about passing information on needs to be targeted? To find something illegal to talk about, that worries me. If there's something that's illegal that you can't talk about, that worries me. Because everything should be up for discussion. Everything. No matter how weird and wonderful it gets, everything should be up for discussion.
That's how you get at the truth.
Yeah?
But I personally think with Bratrix and even the new American president, that people who don't obviously know what or understand what the majority of people in this really do. What they are, there's something going. They know something's basically not wrong.
People don't seem to talk about this. I mean, there are some people at work that I can't have a conversation with. He can only talk about TV. I've not watched television for 10 years. So he can only talk about TV, films, or rugby. And it's the wrong shaped ball for me. So it doesn't matter what he tells me about rugby, I'll just go, oh, right.
Yeah,
So we don't have a conversation. I can't talk to people who haven't got this conversation. But that same person will say, you talk shit.
Yeah, but you can only, at the end of the day, you can only save yourself. You can. What else can you do?
Well, that's exactly, but that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Exactly. I come here to just say, look, this is what happened to me. I mean, going back to the property stuff, I got them to a certain point that they didn't know what to do with me. But they weren't going to let me win. They couldn't let me win. And a judge decided to ignore case law. I put in a judicial review. They found against me. They found against the case law that, and what they found was, I didn't name the county court building as defendant. So never mind the company, the bank that's gone to court with me, I should now name building. Now, I've never been able to cross-examine a brick. So nobody's represented a brick. So I had no idea what to do with that. Because you've exhausted what system there is.
Yeah, but you just said Santander. Ask them, can Santander stand in this court?
They're not interested.
They don't care.
I know they're not
They're
interested.
not
Yeah,
interested.
that's why I agree with you, man. They're totally out of control. They're not. You're right.
They're completely gone.
Yeah.
They're completely gone now.
Yeah, they are.
And it's, you stand there and you say, everything correct. Everything correct. I'm bringing the cash value to this agreement. You monetise it. You charge me a service to monetise that. £400 plus VAT. You charge me to monetise that, but I brought the value. How can you then take my money? Is there an agreement or a contract where I've given you this money and said, loan it me back when you're ready? Because that's what they're saying is going on. They're taking my cash value, saying, oh, this is ours now. Let's securitise it, let's sell it. So somebody's gone for 100 grand, they brought the £100,000 cash value. The bank takes that promissory note that's signed, the debtor is going to pay the creditor. Let's not tell them that the debtor and the creditor are the same one. Let's not tell them that. Let's securitise this, let's sell this 100 grand. Oh, that's 90 grand back we've got. Let's not tell them that's to reduce their liability, let's put it in our pocket.
Yeah.
That's 90 grand. Oh, they've not paid 3 times. Trigger that insurance policy that we must take out under the European Parliamentary directives.
Yeah. Let's get paid again.
That's 100 grand. 190 grand now in their arse pocket. What comes after default? Foreclosure. We come and take your property, we sell it for another 100 grand, 290 grand in their arse pocket,
Yeah.
not lent you a penny, and you still owe them £400 plus VAT.
Do it all over again.
Yeah. Totally corrupt.
What's
They've
the
been on bonds and
conclusion?
Paul, interesting. I wrote to British Gas and I asked, please send by return a copy of the contract This contract must be delivered to the above address by the 2nd of October, and this was the 26th of 9.
Who are you talking
Right.
to though now,
It
Judy?
says, dear customer, further to your letter, in the absence of an agreed contract, i.e. written or verbal. So they're agreeing. There's not one.
And if there's no contract, then they're committing fraud.
Because we're the registered supplier. Oh, well, they've got to prove that I've had the extraction,
Yeah?
which they can't do.
Nope.
They're not interested in doing that.
No.
That's the problem.
This world's not broken, it's supposed to be fought.
Of course, yeah. It's designed to bleed us dry.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
took me a while to realise it, but I always knew there was something not right about what was going on with this system. When in 1988 my dad was killed in a road accident, left my mum on her own, semi-retired. She was trying to do a job, and then I said, "Look, Mum, you've paid so much into the system. You've worked since you were 14, never been out of work." Even when obviously she was a business owner, so she worked for herself. But you put so much in. Ask the social. You deserve this, because I now know that taxpayers don't give benefits out. It's the credit.
Correct.
It's the individual credit that pays your benefits,
Yeah.
and they're arguing over what they're going to give you right now. I said, put in for it, and they knocked her back because she got a private pension, a widow's pension of £49 a month, and they wouldn't help her. And you know, life takes over. I was not the man you see here now. In those days, my mum hid everything. She could have been in. She could have broke her leg in 17 places, and then she used my key in the door. I said, "Oh yeah, you all right?" She would never tell me if there was anything wrong. It was a sign of weakness. So you start to learn all this stuff, but you learn it afterwards, which is a bastard. I wish I'd have known stuff 20 years ago what I know now.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned I learn something new every day. I learned something new yesterday after a 3-hour conversation with a lad about parking eye versus Beavis. I don't know if anybody's heard of this parking eye stuff, but what they've done is they've got it to a test case, which is an appeal court, because this fella has took them through every court in the land. Now, if he'd not done that, putting it in the bin was the only option because it was perfect. But what it's done is it's brought in the Taking Control of Goods Act regulations 2013. What they're saying is under a common law penalty, you should have a look into this for the get out of debt. They're saying it's common law penalty and you've agreed to forfeit property. So the car that you're sat in saying you're not taking my car because of these parking fines is not your car, because the Taking Control of Goods Act switches the property. This is dangerous stuff that's now being passed in legislation. This is 2013 legislation, but until 2015, last year, they didn't have an action to direct right to it. They didn't have that action. Now they've got the action based on 3 presumptions of judges, where a 4th judge fortunately kept a bit of sanity and gave us the option to use to get out of it. So by all means, everybody who's ever experienced these parking fines, look into this stuff. They're getting summary judgments, county court judgments they're claiming, and because of this regulations they're forcing entry. We had a girl 2 days ago, window smashed, ragged out the car, because under law that was Marston's car. That's what's going on in this country right now.
It's like fascist.
As soon as we've started to batten these people down in any place, they're getting worse, because it's a certain mentality. Instead, some people go, "Oh, do you know what? Fair cop, let's give it up." These don't do that. They just go, a bit more. No, there's more. There's more. There's more. That's where we're at. You've got banks not lending money for mortgages, loans, or credit accounts, overdrafts, which is one of the stuff I had. One of my first introductions, I used the 3-letter process from Mark's side, which was show me the contract, show me the bills of exchange, show me the accounting. went all the way through to Jeremy Sutcliffe and Sons, which is solicitors in Leeds, where they said, not only will we get our money, but we'll take it out of your wages before you pay. I went, I don't know how you're going to do that, so let's see. It got passed up to Clydesdale. Now Clydesdale is the sister bank to Australia Bank, who owned Yorkshire Bank that I was with. And they did a 6-week investigation and then wrote me a letter and said, in our opinion, you should pay this. So there was nothing to tell me why. Was I obligated? There was nothing there other than their opinion. So my opinion was, I'm not going to bother. And I just left it now. 6 years went, and right at the statutory point, they put in for it to Northampton Bullshit Warehouse. And I said, forget your bullshit warehouse, bring it to Wigan County Court, and I'll defend it. So they set me up with a 2-hour hearing. The guy for them turned up and said, this is an application for a bank account. Mr. Webster signed it. Yep, I signed that bank account, I had that bank account. Okay. This is what we believe to be true. Okay. Where's your body of evidence? Where's the debt? You're not showing me anything. It's what you believe to be true, and the bank account that I had, that I've admitted to, was the debt. It took him less than 3 minutes to deliver that. Mr. Webster, you had anything to say? Yes, according to the Bank of England quarterly printouts, how money is created from pure credit, which is only created from my worth, and the insurance policy that these companies take out under the European. If you're not going to speak English, I'm going to talk to you. That's what I got. If you're not going to speak plain English, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. So I put my stuff together, packed it up, and she went, Mr. Webster, if you leave, you won't be able to contest costs. I said, I'm not going to contest costs. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I said, because at some point, someday, I'm going to have my day, and you will have been shown to what you're doing, which is lack of impartiality, because people can't win these kind of stuff in their courts. And Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services, the Crown can't lose in their own courts. They're finding against people for nothing. Just bullshit, absolute making stuff up. If I'm not seeing it with my own eyes, I might have gone, oh, it might be a bit far-fetched. But, you know, having been surrounded by armed response, learning all this stuff, it brings it home what, to me anyway, what my parents gone through, what their parents have gone through to get me to this point. You know, best parents in the world are your own. You know, but where do you go with this stuff? I mean, when my property was stolen through the court system, if you have stolen property, you go to the police. Hang on a minute, I'm surrounded by 6 of the fuckers. What am I going to report it to? And they wouldn't even take me for an interview and give me a crime number until I went through the police commissioner to say this isn't right, this is not law.
Yeah, but they're Crown agents, same as the court, same as the judge.
I got the interview. I got the interview with his detective constable who interviewed me for an hour and a quarter. Told me that my property had been stolen and they can't do that because it's criminal activity. Went to see the DC, detective sergeant, sorry. Came back and said he says it's a civil matter. So my now outlet is what? I go and set fire to a warehouse. I go and set fire to the courts. It could have been anything, but learning this stuff was the biggest curve for me. I would never advocate somebody actioning something because it's scary stuff. Kevin, you found it a few times with the stuff that you've done. It's itchy bum time, isn't it? It's not stuff to be sniffed at, this. And then you get the people who go online and try and take the piss out of something I've said or something Kev's said because they're trying to twist it for whatever reason. I can't get away that somebody sent me a cheque for a payment for gas. What does that mean? That's the question. What does that mean? I'm a dickhead. Oh, hang on. Somebody sent me a cheque for 500 quid and I'm the dickhead. I don't know what to say about this. So you ask the questions and you don't get the answers. It's mind-blowing. And going through from start to finish, came out in 2014 with the last time I spoke with British Gas, which was, I rang them in July 2014 and I spoke to a guy called Les. And Les wasn't very helpful when I spoke to him. Gave him account number, details, and I said, I'd just like to speak about this. I said, because I've tried to settle this account and he cut me off. He went, but you haven't paid your bill, Mr. Webster! Les, I've tried to settle the bill through the bills of exchange. Are you legally trained? Are you? Oh my God. I said, look, just put me through to your legal department. No, you can't speak to them. I'll speak to them, ring back. Rang him back 10 minutes later. He went, Mr. Webster, I'm so happy that you called. Like, oh, something changed here, what's going on? He went, legal, reviewing your account as we speak. They'll be in touch. Nothing. Nothing, they just leave me alone. They sent me a letter last week with my annual summary on saying, can you pay less? No, I can't. I'm not liable for it.
Yeah, not liable for it.
So it's having a bit of confidence as well, and I didn't have that confidence for a long time, but when it's here, you're either going to bend over and take what's coming to you, or you're going to have at least a principle to say something. Will you stop laughing at stuff like that, you? It's stuff that you've got to take on board, because if it's not coming to you, it's coming to your kids.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's something that people have got to start looking into, in between adverts or what's the omnibus of EastEnders or something. People have got to switch on. I'm called a nutter at least half a dozen times a day. That's just off one lad. You know, he's trolled me all weekend. He's the one who thinks that I've talked about Manny McCann being a lizard. I don't know where he gets this stuff from. But he's ace, he's very special. He's very special, this lad. But it shows you where different people are at. I don't think that I know everything. I certainly, if I knew everything, I don't know even know if I'd be stood here if I knew everything. It's about passing information, it's about learning new things. I learned stuff tonight from Robert and Sarge that was very similar to stuff that I've been through recently. Not personally, but family and friends wise. So it's all about a learning curve. I'm off the time now. It's because when I start I get going. It's, for me, I have to say definitely I wouldn't have took this stuff on. It was stuff that's come to me I've dealt with. Can I take everything on? No. Am I willing to take everything on? No, not right now. I like the life I've got now. I'm the happiest I've ever been. For a long time. Everything is where it needs to be.
Yes. You know, I had a question in the eye. With the head, and then you wave back at me. And I go,
Oh, that's a hell of a distraction, that.
can vulnerable people be cut off?
No, but they are being done. They are.
No, sorry. What I want to make is that what you're saying is that you wouldn't be taking this on as it was. But if you know what you have to go through, you would have taken it on.
No.
But yet, in the next breath, you say you're the happiest that you've ever been.
No, I wouldn't have looked to take this stuff on. I wouldn't have been in the position where everything was going swimmingly, especially back then. If everything was going swimmingly for me, I wouldn't have gone, hey, I don't think I have to pay for gas, but I'd research it. I'd learn what I'm trying to talk about.
So you became aware as a result of circumstance.
Yes.
What is going to happen
more and more for more and more people, and
Yes.
more and more people are going to become aware of this sort of thing.
Yes.
And then,
It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable with what's going on.
on.
Well, can I say something? April gone last year, no, this year, they sent me a bill for the tax, the council tax, for £285.
Yeah.
I paid it off cash, and I spoke to someone in the office before I did it, and I said, do I have another bill or any more outstanding bill to pay if I pay this off now? He says no. 3 weeks down the line, I got another bill, £480, saying existing court costs. And that's what wakes me up.
Yeah.
Then I got another bill for £490, existing court costs. So when I rang them up and asked them, how come they sent me a bill for nearly £1,000, existing court costs? When did they take me to court? And I didn't know. Then they sent me some liability orders, and that's what makes me up.
Yeah, great liability orders.
Just like damn capital tax. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But I think that's what it comes to with certain people. I mean, Adi, you could speak honestly. When I did what I did and you thought you'd have a go at it, was that through principle or because it had to happen?
It was through principle.
See, mine was because it had to happen. It was right in my face.
I had a £1,800 gas bill land on my door, because I've always been estimated.
And how many times we've ignored everything?
Oh, more than one or two. But I had to take it on because sometimes to do what's right is to do what's right, innit?
Yeah.
And you've got to do it. And to use your words, I was shaking like a shitting dog. I really, really was. And for me, listening to Paul talk, it's about losing the fear.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
about standing up and giving it to that man
Yes.
or woman
Yes.
who's the judge and the magistrates. I'm a window cleaner and I've got customers that are magistrates. And I'm thinking, well, knock on your
You know
door.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. But when I clean their windows and they're magistrates, it's a completely different story. But when you're stood in their building,
Oh.
in their domain, you know, where we, you know, you can go and you can dress how you want to dress, but they feel as though they're better than us.
Yeah.
So it's, for me personally, it's losing the fear, because I've been brought up to respect the law, respect this, respect that.
You've done nothing wrong.
Exactly. But I took it on myself personally, out of principle. And
Yeah.
that's where we go. We all come at it from our own different angles.
Yes, yeah.
But it's not when
I can personally say that everything he said I've been through thick and thin with all the court case and everything. The police response were there. Everything that he's been saying is totally and utterly true. I've seen it myself. And I'm at the stage now where like you said, you'll go to court, they'll turn up, but the warrant for the application for the warrant of entry has all been withdrawn before you get there.
Yes, that happened to me.
So we're winning. Something is happening
Yeah.
to.
we've certainly given them something to scratch their heads about
Oh, yes.
with all this.
I
Tell the
think
balls to actually go to court as well.
It is
A
losing
lot
the
of
fear.
people are like-
That's why this is so
Amazing.
important.
It is.
Because when the safety in numbers, there's safety in numbers, and when you get your heads together, you kind of lose the fear.
People need to turn out for people at court on the day that it's required.
Exactly. But it's
What
about
happened?
losing the fear.
What happened? They took to different courts. I've actually attended four different courts I have. Until eventually they went to Birmingham Court, and that they wanted to interest. The other three courts, they were issued because I contested it. But Birmingham Crown Court, then Stretch Courts.
We've learned something. We talked about the
No, well, just
body of words.
yeah. But just touch on that. That's what happened with us. But for some reason, British Gas played right down the middle. They told us when they were going for a warrant. They turned up at the court. They were all right up front with us. So what's happening as I always look at it as further down south, because like I said, in Sussex you've got a lad being arrested arrested, his keys taken off him so they can change the meter.
And he had health conditions and needed the...
And that, yeah, it ran his medical equipment, didn't it?
So if he had no money, cut him off.
Well, this is just to get to your door. The point is to beat it at court, to get your bundle in order, to get the points across.
It's what we did. It's what we did. We put the bundle in, identical bundle. I got a working bundle off one of my best mates. Said, this is what I've done with Eon. So I went, good enough for you, mate. Good enough for me. Changed, you know, all the innocent names and put the guilty ones in. Sent it into court. And I went through the court system. I went before a district judge. They failed to attend. Warrants thrown out. No longer hearing any warrants. The only option is county court, equity. And they won't go there because if they go there, they're done.
I think there's a misunderstanding, if you don't mind me saying here, that there's two ways of paying. You either pay with debt notes, right, or you send it to the Treasury because of the bankruptcy of 1931 and set it up against the CK Trade Trust.
To be honest though, they won't hear that in court. You've got to
I
fight
don't
them on the
think
battle of you're not allowed in my house.
And, yeah, but I wouldn't go to court because you're going to something that really doesn't exist.
Yeah, but
Why go to court when you're going to lose?
Because you're not showing it to anybody else. That's why I did it. I need to show it to people who would understand that I've got a cheque in my hand. I've got a valid cheque in my hand.
Yeah,
Why am I going to talk about paying with my own promissory notes when somebody sent me payment? That's what I want to talk
well,
about.
that's why you should accept it for value and send it to the Treasury. That's what I'm going to do.
But the Treasury's not accepting it. The Treasury's not accepting it.
I'll be down to the Jesuits then. Obviously, I'm not going to.
I'll tell you what, you go to court with that, mate. I'm coming.
not going to court.
I'm coming watching.
I'm not going to. I am not.
But that's what I'm saying.
Go to a court when
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong in anything.
So what happens when you come to your door with the police like this gentleman with the lump hammers? You can't say that when you're on the door, but the court won't listen to you to all that. All we can do is use their system against them.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. Anything you've said. I'm not saying anything's wrong with what you said. But that's not working. It's not working in a court. You're right in what you're saying in principle.
It's true, yeah.
It's not going. It's not happening. We've seen case law denied, ignored. That is more powerful than you saying what you're saying about ecclesiastic law or anything like that.
They're running.
No, they always drop off with that, the law of the church, because all the laws come from the church.
Exactly, but you go into a county court, that doesn't count. But yet, if you don't go, they find against you. And what they're doing is they're using credit as a weapon. They're putting a black mark against credit, so now people can't get credit for something that they've not been liable to pay for in the first place.
Yeah, they're controlling us through that. I totally agree with you.
But people have got to pick a fight somewhere. Somebody's got to pick a fight. I've picked a couple of fights, Eddie's picked a couple of fights, Judith's picked everything fight you can think of. She's fighting everything, Judith.
This is interesting to everybody. Does anybody know about the 12 presumptions of the court before you get there?
Very interesting.
Because it's the Anti-Corruption Society, 12 presumptions that are in the court unless you challenge them. So what I did when I went against British Gas, I had 8 little prompt things to actually, see whether it worked.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, the more ammunition you've got,
Yeah, that I agree with you. The more information.
That's it, it's coming from every angle.
Let's have a look at that.
What Judith's done is nothing like what me and you have done. But Judith's then come and spent, she came up on the train and spent 4 hours to listen to... 4.5, darling. 4.5 hours to talk, listen to me to talk shit, because that's what I get told. You're talking shit, Webby. Your gas is free. You're talking shit. How much have you read into it? Have you looked at it? No. I'm a Celebrity Zone. No, it was cancelled because of Spain and England, wasn't it? But the people now who, I know who they were, who used to think, oh, it's I'll walk the other way. Those same shit, there's something in it. To hear a legal clerk talk about, in a bills of exchange hearing, and talk about it being a legal remedy, The word is remedy. That's cure in their language.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to use a remedy for any other reason.
If they have to use words like understand and stand under, and basically bullshit you into agreeing to something you're not you, how can that be fair?
It's not.
It's
No.
not.
It's not. It's not at all.
I'm all the time trying to think of things, just one-liners to say to people.
But nobody's took it forward. We had, there's, I don't know if you've heard of these people, but Russell McGarry and people like that, and myself, we've gone to different hearings to try all different kinds of things, but Russ went down to the Masters, and we went all the way with this, and the Masters gave us one piece of advice: become the claimant. That's the only way. If your argument is a cure, the only way is to become claimant, because I can see what British Gas did with me. If they'd have took me to a county court and said you owe us money, they knew that there was enough teeth in the argument to say, hang on a minute, there's something not quite right here. You're not going to send me a cheque of credit if I owe you. It doesn't make sense. It was too easy. Too easy. People get bogged down in saying I've no contract. If you clean my windows for a year, and at the end of that year you present me with a bill and I say I have no contract with you, I'm not paying you, and you go to a county court and your argument is I have no contract with him, the question is, did you accept his services? Did he clean the windows? Yes, yes. Pay him. Every day of the week, pay him. So it was a waste of energy. I've gone through all the arguments. The simplicity argument for me was somebody sent me a cheque. I owe them money, but they've given me a cheque to pay them back. I don't get it, but okay, I'll transfer it to you, because I can't do it the right way, which is go to the post office, sign the top part of the bill, national insurance number, non-commercial agreement, signature, date. They stamp the top part of the bill, stamp the cheque, put the cheque in the cash drawer, give you the bill back, settled account. That's not what's promoted. It even says on the cheque, no fee payable at post office counter. That's because you're not paying anything. It's just meant to be accepted. But it's been taken away from us. About 25 years ago, maybe a bit longer, the companies got done for double dipping. This is what double dipping is. My mum would take the credit cheque of £400 and put £400 to it and pay him £800. No wonder these CEOs are going up in wages. But it takes people to switch on, and then once they've switched on, realise that this giant corporation still only comes down to one man or woman when you're stood next to him in that court. And if your argument is right, you've got a cure, doesn't matter what they stand with. I've stood against QCs and barristers and they've embarrassed themselves. That's not me being clever, that's me asking a question that they can't answer because it really works with their case.
Yeah, but they're Crown agents again, members of the board.
When you go to court, I'll be honest with you, when you go into county court, it's two wolves in a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Because the executive and the judiciary are already working together. They can't not lose. They've already decided you're the sheep. You've got to be able to have an argument to go in there and say, I'm a wolf, which one of you are the sheep? Because it's the judiciary or the executive, one of the two have got to take the hit. We know the executive have got insurance policies. European directives tell us that. But the European Parliament were very clever. They saw what scam is going on against the British people and they've used the clean hands doctrine. Nothing to do with us. You get insurance, we're happy with that, we'll leave you with it. But insurance policies are underwritten by banks, so banks are taking the hit anyway. So it's all banks, so it's all commerce. Again, we come back to the same old story of all banks. Commerce, 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 commerce.
You know, you said you've got to become the claimant.
Yeah.
I was watching a guy, I can't even remember his name, and he went in front of a judge, and the judge said to him, until you learn to walk in here as a man, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And the other thing he said was, if you go to court and it's their case, it's their case.
Yeah.
You see, if you're at an airport and somebody says, is that your case? And you say, no, he says, we don't let you look at it. No, they're not.
Yeah.
That's what a case is. You know, it's their case against you. How can you use that to get your remedy?
Don't bother with their case.
Don't bother with it.
Don't bother with their case. Do yours.
Yeah.
Which is, like I said, we've had Panorama did half an hour show. I think it was in April, wasn't it, Kev? Somewhere like that. And they used, fuel poverty. And they used 2 YouTube videos, what me and Kev were privy to. And one was shown drilling a lock, and then the clip then bounced to a completely different location and a different incident where they'd fitted a pay-as-you-go meter. Now, they were trying to drill titanium locks. They had no fucking idea how long they were going to be there, but they didn't get in. But then they edited it and put it to where they fitted a pay-as-you-go meter. And then over the top of it, they dubbed utility companies can get forced entry warrants and fit pay-as-you-go meters.
Are you trying to tell me the BBC lies?
No. I can categorically state the BBC told the entire truth, because they can get a forced entry warrant and they can fit pay-as-you-go meters. They've not told you lies. They've just put them both right together thinking, ooh, both are the same. Whereas when you say, hang on, forced entry is right down here, because you're forcing entry for pipes, fittings, escape of gas. That's what you have a right to enter for. Pay-as-you-go meters is over there, and you've got to walk over to it and say, can I have one of these? That's the difference between the 2 jurisdictions. But they try and pretend that they're both married. They'll turn up with a warrant. Kevin's had them in the vicinity of, wasn't it?
Yeah, local justice area.
In the local justice area. Toilet, car park, I don't know. But you've got all these anomalies showing that these people are just willing to just keep taking until they've no option but to capitulate. You've seen, how much have you seen this city change now with this stuff?
Massive.
From where you were 5 years ago?
Massively.
You've gone, whoa.
Mind you, there's so many more aware of what's going on now than 5 years ago.
But that was it. I mean, you was the nutter.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You were the nutter, mate. You know, it's... You've got to look at this from your own perspective. What can you do? What do you want to do? Some people just want information. I'm more than happy to take it. Pass it on to your kids. Maybe they'll do something if you can't. I didn't decide to do something. It came to me, slapped me across the face and said, I'm going to do something. Stop laughing, Judith.
It's lovely.
But they said, I'm going to do something, and I said, well, you can't. And I went, I can't let that go. I just can't let it go.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
before I go? Once they've forced the entry and they've come in and they've fitted that meter in, and then they say to you, right, in a couple of days' time, we'll send you the key. But they do not, because they're holding you right against,
ransom.
so you've got
They're holding
no
you to
electric,
ransom.
no gas. They haven't sent you the key. So
Teach you a lesson, naughty girl. That's what it is. So all it is to teach people lessons. That's what all this stuff is.
there's nothing you can do but to
Become claimant. Sue them. That's the only thing you can do. I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do. I'm saying that's the remedy that they're leaving us with. The burden of proof is now on us.
Right, I leave you all with a laughter. My grandson said, we're living like the Victorians at the moment.
It's not that good.
Next week, really, look
I laughed for because you are my hero.
Ah,
Bless you, Judith. You're mine. Unless there's any questions, I can only be Ash. I mean, Eddie will tell you I can crack on for a bit.
You can crack on through it. What's your favourite radio show?
Don't listen to him. It's got to be Raconteur, the news, though. Oh, hang on. What was this you gave me, Andy?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure that
That's a radio show I promote.
When
I'm apparently the favourite guest.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, until next week.
Any other questions? Happy to be here.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.